Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find when they missed out on signing a potentially world-class footballer for whatever reason, and look at the footballer they signed instead. That was by a million miles a massive downgrade. Arsenal, N'Golo Kante, Granit Xhaka. Yeah, according to Arsene Wenger, he spent the summer of 2016 trying to buy N'Golo Kante from Leicester. Clearly not hard enough though, Christ above. About half an hour after winning the Premier League title with Leicester, yes, Leicester City, he was moving to Chelsea for just 32 million quid. A Chelsea team without Champions League football, by the way, without any sliver of European football at all. Apparently it was agent fees that put Arsenal off signing a future World Cup champion, and so instead chucked £35 million at Granit Xhaka from Borussia Mönchengladbach. All due respect to Arsene Wenger, but passing over Kante for a bang average Swiss captain with all the backbone of a paraplegic sheep, it's almost unforgivable. Aston Villa, Radamel Falcao, Emil Heskey. Listen, I know Radamel Falcao eventually flopped in England, but still, there is no excuse for not taking a chance on him in 2008. This was before the Colombian centre forward had exploded in European football. You know, before the combined 200 goals for Porto, Atletico Madrid and Monaco. He was a 22-year-old ripping up in Argentina with River Plate and was apparently offered Aston Villa for just 5 million quid. The fact Martin O'Neill turned this down to sign a fat 31-year-old Emil Heskey instead, it was about as clever as sticking your hand in a lawnmower. Heskey was off the back of scoring just 7 league goals in his last 48 games for Wigan Athletic. How on earth did O'Neill think this past-it lump of mashed potato was a better option than Falcao? A clear example of a rigid football manager sticking to what he knows instead of taking a gamble on a potential superstar. Bournemouth, Dele Alli, Dan Gosling. Yeah, according to Eddie Howe, he tried to take Dele Alli from MK Dons to Bournemouth back in the summer of 2014. I'm pretty confident had he made that move, he'd go on to have a career on par with Lewis Cook. Ali would probably rather stick a pitchfork down his throat. Instead, Howe pinched Dan Gosling from Newcastle's bench instead. Now don't get me wrong, Gosling has been a good signing, but again, it's like rejecting a Lamborghini to go and hire a tractor. Brighton, Virgil van Dijk, Matthew Upson. Yeah, Brighton fans will know this story by now. The media have spent the past 2 years ramming it down your throats. We all know the story of when Brighton had 2 bids rejected for Groningen centre half Virgil van Dijk in January 2013, refusing to meet the £3 million asking price. £3 million. Christ above, nowadays that wouldn't buy you his left nipple. Instead, Gus Poyet said, fair enough, I'll just bring a 32-year-old Matthew Upson in on loan from Stoke instead. To be fair, Upson did well for Brighton, but still, even that man in his prime isn't fit to even lick dirt off Van Dijk's feet. That was a weird thing to say. Burnley, Hakim Ziyech, Johan Berg Gudmundsson. Listen, don't get it wrong, Johan Berg Gudmundsson has been a great player for Burnley ever since arriving in 2016, but ask any claret on the planet, would they prefer him or Hakim Ziyech? You know, the midfielder who's eating Dutch football for breakfast, who was inches from a Champions League final and is now a big money signing for Chelsea. Ziyech was inches from swapping 20 for Turk Moore in 2016. For his own sake, he probably spends every day kissing his agent on the face. Chelsea, Dani Alves, Juliano Belletti. Lads, back in the summer 2007, Chelsea were on the cusp of bringing in the best right back in world football. Good Christ, it was so close, the national press were practically announcing it.
Chelsea capture Alves in $21.5 million deal.
Yeah, did they though? Dani Alves is the most decorated footballer on planet Earth, having won over 40 goddamn trophies, striking up a telepathic partnership with the greatest footballer to ever grace the game. Clearly, the Brazilian is one of the most influential right backs of all time. And yet, just like Jedward's dad should have done in the early 90s, Mourinho pulled out at the last minute, instead bringing in a 31-year-old Juliano Belletti from Barcelona. Belletti was a Champions League winner, yes, but he was past it. His legs were like soggy wet pasta. He was probably out of breath just climbing the bastard stairs. So turning down Alves in his prime for a guy 3 years off retirement? No wonder Josie was out the door within 6 weeks. Crystal Palace, Virgil van Dijk, Brede Hangeland. Yeah, second time Van Dijk makes this list. According to Neil Warnock, he was trying to bring him from Celtic for 6 million quid back in late 2014, only to be told by the Palace board that the Dutchman was just too slow. Too slow? They just signed Brede Hangeland, a man who couldn't outrun a toaster. To be fair though, it is quite hard trusting a defender who plays Ross County and Kilmarnock every week, but still, isn't that what scouts are heavily paid to do? Everton, Juan Roman Riquelme, Thomas Gravesen. Imagine if Everton had Juan Roman Riquelme and Mikel Arteta in the same midfield. Christ, that'd be like Barcelona in the late 90s. Everton were inches from taking Riquelme from Villarreal in the summer 2007 though. Even the club's website was announcing it. It broke down though, and so Moyes instead just brought an aging Thomas Gravesen back in on loan from Celtic, which is a bit like when he missed out on Cesc Fabregas in 2013 and just brought in Fellaini instead. Leicester, David Beckham derives for sell. Remember when Sven-Göran Eriksson rocked up with Leicester in 2010 and tried to sign half the England Euro 2004 squad? Listen, I know David Beckham was spending each year doing a tour of Europe in the MLS off-season, but he was winding up in destinations like Milan and Paris. Did Sven really think Beckham was going to convince his wife to spend 6 months stuck in a hotel in Leicester, leaving the sunshine of LA to play alongside Matt Oakley halfway down the Bastard Championship? He understandably said no. He probably laughed down the phone, leaving Eriksson to bring in Darius Vassell from Turkey instead. Sure, they both missed penalties Euro 2004, but good Christ, that's where the similarities end. Beckham had more footballing ability in his left eyebrow than Vassell did in his entire body. Liverpool, Alexis Sanchez, Lazar Markovic. Again, if you want to stick with the Dani Alves theme, a year before Chelsea, Rafa Benitez passed over him to sign Jan Kromkamp. This is also the same man who tried to shove Xabi Alonso out the door in order to make room for Gareth Barry. That alone should have had the Spaniard booked in for brain surgery. I'm going to go for Alexis Sanchez though, who was nearly the big name replacer from Udinese, who could have adequately filled the hole left by Luis Suarez. Who knows, the signing of him alone might eventually save Brendan Rodgers' job. Bringing in Lazar Markovic though, a £20 million waste of time and space from Benfica, oh good Christ what a downgrade. He lasted half a decade on the Anfield books, 19 league appearances, 2 goals. It was like flushing a 20 million check down the goddamn toilet. Man City, Ronaldinho, Sean Wright-Phillips. That's even before the massive takeover. Man City were still trying to sign big names. Under Thaksin Shinawatre's insane reign of terror, the club were actively pursuing Ronaldinho, one of the biggest footballing names on the planet. Sure, he was being bombed out of Barcelona, but how did City ever think they'd be getting their hands on him 4 weeks after they conceded 8 at Middlesbrough? Although, surprisingly, Ronaldinho almost said yes before knocking the back at the last minute for AC Milan, who back then were a dignified club making ambitious signings instead of their modern day form where they're just sniffing around Jeff Hendrick on a free. Mark Hughes was instead forced to settle for Sean Wright-Phillips, airlifted off Chelsea's bench. Man United, Eden Hazard, Shinji Kagawa. I don't think Alex Ferguson will ever live this one down. This was his last summer transfer window, and instead of just making short-term signings that would only last about 2 years, he could have had the forethought to gift wrap a present for his successor. A 21-year-old Eden Hazard, available for £32 million from Lille. United were sniffing around him, only for Ferguson to then turn his nose up at the price tag and sign Shinji Kagawa from Borussia Dortmund for half the price instead. Hazard is currently a £100 million footballer at the biggest club on planet Earth, while Kagawa is stuck in the Spanish second tier with Real Zaragoza. Christ above Fergie. Newcastle, Mo Salah, Gabriel Obertan. Christ, where do you want to start? We could touch on when Newcastle rejected Luka Modric for being too small in 2008. Sure, who needs a future Ballon d'Or winner when you can just pinch Danny Guthrie off the Liverpool bench? But no, I'll go for when Newcastle's loan bid for Mo Salah from Al Makhoun in Egypt collapsed back in 2011 after they refused to pay a £500,000 loan fee. Typical Mike Ashley. Salah had already said it would be a dream move and now he couldn't wait to come. And no, Alan Pardew was instead forced to pay £3 million for Gabriel Obertan instead. Christ, can you imagine a front line of Hadid Ben Arfa, Demba Ba and Mo Salah? I think I just felt my pants tighten. Norwich, Kalidou Koulibaly, Tim Klose. Again, like the Van Dijk to Brighton story, this one has been done to death, where Norwich were in talks to sign Kalidou Koulibaly from Napoli and had an £11 million bid rejected in the middle of a relegation battle, and then just signed Tim Klose from Wolfsburg instead. Don't get me wrong, Klose has been a good signing, but Koulibaly is now apparently worth £100 million. Sheffield United, Didier Drogba, Steve Cabba. Imagine placing the prime years of Didier Drogba's career into the hands of not Jose Mourinho, but Neil Warnock. Christ, he'd have turned him into the next Kevin Davies. According to Warnock, he was offered the chance to pluck him out of French football's second division in 2001 when Drogba was just 21 years old. He said no and signed Steve Cabba from Crystal Palace instead. Seriously. Southampton, Son Heung-min, Dani Osvaldo. According to Mauricio Pochettino, Southampton were really close to signing Son Heung-min from Hamburg in 2013. It would have been Poch's first signing, but Christ above. Can you imagine a Saints team with Van Dijk at the back, Tadic in midfield, and Son and Mane on the wings? They'd probably have got top 4. Instead, Son just chose to move to Bayer Leverkusen instead, and Southampton just settled for the big massive disaster that was Dani Osvaldo on loan from Roma. Tottenham, Sergio Aguero, Emmanuel Adebayor. Christ, where do you want to start? Yeah, Tottenham tried to buy Sergio Aguero from Atletico Madrid, testing the waters with a £38 million bid back in January 2011. They didn't get him, and so instead, Harry Redknapp's next striking signing was just Emmanuel Adebayor on loan from Man City. Don't get me wrong, he did well and scored some goals, but he's still an embarrassing downgrade from someone like Aguero's standard. Watford, Danny Rose, Cameron Green. Okay, to be fair, Danny Rose was never anywhere near world class, but Watford haven't really missed out on signing any superstars. I mean, they had a bid for Rose rejected back in the summer 2019, and just signed a youngster Cameron Green from Reading instead. Literally no other left back. West Ham, Neymar, Frederick Piccione. Listen, West Ham have always had delusions of grandeur. The likes of David Gold and Karen Brady, they probably still think they're going to end up Champions League winners one day. There's more chance of me growing a third foot. Anyway, they were bidding £60 million for Santos hotshot Neymar in June 2010. It didn't happen, probably because Neymar didn't want to place his formative years and potential for superstardom in the hands of Avram Grant. Christ, he'd have been the Brazilian Matthew Jarvis. When this obviously didn't happen, Grant just went and brought in Frederick Piccione, who just finished bottom of the league alongside him at Pompey. Oh boy. Wolves, Gareth Bale, Greg Halford. According to Kevin Doyle, Gareth Bale was on the cusp of a loan move to Wolves in 2009. This was back when he was seen as some sort of left-back curse at Spurs. It didn't happen, and so Mick McCarthy instead just brought in defensive dish towel Greg Halford from Sunderland's bench. Christ above. Anyway, that's the video, lads. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.